Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Today is the final episode of my Day at the Farm series. This is episode 4 of 4 in my How to Create Cards with Day at the Farm DSP. The Day at the Farm is a celebration set of designer series paper. It does have a coordinating stamp set in the January to April mini catalogue, but if you don't like the stamp set or you don't wish to invest in it, I wanted to show you alternative ways in which to make cards with these papers. The piece of paper I'm using is the tartan one. I didn't really like this bit here. I didn't have the stamp set, so it was no point using that side, but there's a very pretty side here. So this has been cut at 3 3/4 by 5 1/2 in metric. That's 9.5 centimeters by 14 centimeters. The other piece of Day at the Farm designer series paper I'm using is a tiny little piece, and it measures 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inches square. That's 6 by 6 centimeters. The card base is in Sahara Sand, and that's 8 1/4 inches by 5 7/8 in metric. That will be 21 centimeters by 14.5 centimeters and folded in half. Then there's a basic white layer for the inside of the card, and that measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2 inches. So in metric, that's 9.5 by 14 centimeters. I'm going to go ahead and glue this directly onto my card base for the inside of the card. I find that if I don't glue them in straight away, I just mislay the pieces or cut it up accidentally for something else. I'm also going to glue the tartan pattern to the front of the card. This happens to measure the same as the basic white for the inside of the card. This is the card we'll be making for my final card. I'm using both the Something Fancy bundle, this hexagonal die in the Something Fancy die set. I'm using the thank you as the sentiment for that. The other stamp set I'm using is called Lighting the Way, and it's bundled with the Lighting the Way dies, and it's this little bee. Is it this one? Yeah, the bigger bee that I'm going to use, and I've used the rock and roll technique for it. And for the inside of card, I've done the same thing. So from the Lighting the Way dies, I will need this outline of the bee die. You'll also need scraps of Sahara Sand to cut out the hexagonal shape, and a scrap of basic white to stamp and die cut the bee. The inks I'm using are Cherry Cobbler and Sahara Sand, and some of the festive pearls I've used the silver one. So now I'm going to take the lighter ink and ink up the whole of the bee with Sahara Sand. And this is the rock and roll technique. You just ink up the edges of the stamp by rocking and rolling your acrylic block. So it's only a light touch, like that. Then, oops, stamp, and you get that effect. Remember to clean your stamp if you're using this technique on a second bee, like for the inside of the card. So I'm going to ink it up with Sahara Sand again, and just very lightly rock and roll. See? This is the bee from Lighting the Way. I'll just pop that back and swap stamps. Now if you're not sure that you can stamp straight, then you can stamp the sentiment first. Bring in my cutting sandwich, so it's the basic one platform, which is the thick piece, thin die adapter, platform 2, one of the base plates, platform 3, place my cardstock on top, like so, and secure it with washi tape. Stick the bee on. Oh, wrong way round. Pop a second cutting plate on top, and I'm ready to run it through the machine. I take this 2 1/4 inch piece, and we want to just soften the edges on this side here, on the corner. Now if you work away at this corner back and forth, it will eventually weaken the paper so that that separates. Okay, so what you want to do is just bend that back a little bit to create that corner. And all I've done is just put a bit of dimensional on the back, like so. So you bend the paper back like that, put the dimensional on, and then fold that back, and then possibly pop a little bit of glue on that to keep it down, just on the inside here. Then glue it to the bottom in the corner here. Now I'm going to put double-sided tape on the back of this hexagon. Remove the backing tape like so, and then wind this piece of elegant trim round your finger. Several times. And I'm just going to put that in the middle to anchor it. Stick it down here in the middle. Then I want to pick up the ends and peel it off. And then you can arrange your loops around the hexagon. It will look different each time. Then you want to cut your dimensionals. You could use mini dimensionals, and you want to go where the blank spaces are to anchor it down so that it doesn't bulk up. Remove the tape. Make sure your word is the right way up, and then pop it on here. And for the wings of the bee, I wanted to pop up the wings as well. So you want 2 narrow strips of dimensionals. bend the wings back. And then for a last finishing touch, I'm just going to pop these festive pearls on here. And voila, the card is finished. So I hope you've enjoyed this series of 4 cards using the Day at the Farm Designer Series paper from the Celebration brochure. You can get these free, subject to a qualifying order of £45. All the links to the supplies are below this video in the Show More section. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. If you'd like to read more, then hop over to my blog. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.